Hello, good day. This is our second video where we'll talk about optimal gateway routing as a security use case or a security feature. This is our second video, and today it's going to be more about a concept and less about specific configuration. Now, about optimal gateway routing. Now, what is optimal gateway routing in a CVET environment? So traditionally, on the left, we can have, for example, a user connecting to gateway A using a browser or the receiver directly. The user authenticates to gateway A. Gateway A, after successful authentication, will enumerate applications with storefront. Storefront will consult the tested delivery controllers. And then in this example, desktop delivery controller of site B will point the user to a VDA in site B. Now, what will happen in the traditional way of working is that the session will be set up over gateway A, because that's where we authenticated, to site B, to the VDA in site B. Now, optimal gateway routing allows you to configure a relation between the site or the zone that a VDA is in or a DDC is in and the gateway. So this way we can configure storefront in a way that it knows that if site B presents a session on a VDA in site B, that gateway B is used instead of gateway A. And that is called optimal gateway routing. And this way, as you can see in the drawing on the right, there is a shorter network path from the HDX engine to the VDA because the traffic passes over gateway B. Now, this is mainly introduced as a way to make network connectivity more optimal in a multi-region setup, etc. But you can also look at it from a pure network security perspective, So you can give netscalers dedicated roles. For example, you can give a netscaler the role of only taking care of authentication, application enumeration, and handing out those one-time, one-pass tickets. And then you can generate or create a configuration of another netscaler, which is in this example called ICA proxy, which is only handling the sessions itself. It doesn't do authentication, it only does authorization and provide the connectivity with that one-time access. There are a couple of advantages by separating those duties. One of the nice things is that the netscalers have dedicated roles and therefore also dedicated communication requirements with backends or other systems. So on a AAA netscaler, we see that it needs communication, or it needs a connection, or at least a configuration with, if you have a more traditional setup with LDAP radius and those kind of topics, or it needs a configuration, not directly communication, but with SAML, a SAML setup at least, with potentially FOSS if that was there in the backend. Then once the authentication happens successfully, the user will be able to access the storefront, and the storefront will do application enumeration for the user, presenting all the applications to the user. So the AAA netscaler will need to be able to reach the storefront to present all those applications. However, the AAA netscaler doesn't need to have any network communication to the STA servers, so STA validation is not needed on the AAA. And also the AAA netscaler doesn't need any ICA HDX sessions communication, so all firewalls can remain closed to all the VDAs. On top of that, the AAA netscaler can be secured, only use HTTPS, of course, and can be secured with traditional features like WAF, bot management, responder, SNI enforcement, IP reputation GeoIP, and if you want, it's not really necessary, but if you want, you can integrate it with some full SSL inspection with some third-party cloud WAF or whatever solution that you want. It's not really absolutely necessary, but in some high demanding environments, it can be a plus that you can do this way. If you look at ICA proxy Netscaler side, there on that Netscaler, we just run the ICA/AGX sessions. There, we don't need any authentication integration. We don't need any connections to storefront, so those firewalls can remain closed. We do need a link to the STA services for ticket validation, and of course the ICA proxy will need to be able to set up the sessions to the VDAs. So in this case, those ICA proxy Netscalers need to be able to reach the VDA instances. We use same communication port, VIP HTTPS port. WAF and bot management can be activated, but are a little bit less relevant because we can basically create a responder policy to disallow all regular HTTP requests. We can keep the SNI enforcement because that one is fully supported by Citrix receivers. IP reputation, GeoIP is all features that we can use. However, typically ICA HDX sessions don't support SSL inspection, so that's something that you cannot activate here. And this way, we can have actually the best of both worlds. So we can keep the good performance on the Citrix sessions. We can keep the performance, and we can have on the AAA side, if you would want that, it's not specifically needed, but an additional layer of SSL inspection on top. The nice thing of splitting this out is also that the Netscaler firmware versions don't need to be exactly the same for both. So maybe on the AAA, you want to upgrade faster, or ICA proxy needs to be evaluated for performance a little bit longer. You can also scale the Netscalers differently. So the AAA Netscalers can be scaled in a different manner than the ICA proxy Netscalers. And also, yeah, since most of the Citrix customers have kind of unlimited instances of Netscalers in their licenses, it's not a worry for a lot of customers anymore to see how many Netscalers we are deploying. A little bit more doesn't harm if you can add additional security features. I'm pretty curious of receiving feedback on this one, so feel free to reach out to me. For next time, we will go into more security use cases on how to protect your dedicated ICA proxy and protect your AAA gateway, considering that actually two roles are split separately. Thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully if you have feedback, reach out. I will definitely answer and maybe pick it up in the next video. Here you can see our links, and please follow us on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.